unmute. Who wants to be unmuted first? Freyas, you're on 4. Your sound is, well, your game sound is unmuted. I might turn it down just a little bit. Turn all of them to about the same level. All right, they're all about the same level now. They will be able to hear you in 3, 2, 1. They can hear you. Can't hear me. They can hear you though.
Hello and welcome to the Super Metroid 100% between ourselves, Freya's, pronouns they, them, Kamaru,
20.
6 golden stars.
Hi.
Hello.
Left 20.
Hi.
On
Hi.
commentary, we will
Hello.
have Asder, a wonderful runner, and we are super excited for this.
I'm super excited to watch this race. Let's go. I'm super excited to watch this race. Are we live now?
Yeah.
Are we live now?
Oh, yes, sorry. They can hear me, but they can't hear you, but yes, you're live. Whenever you're ready, you can give me a countdown, and I will start the timer.
You want to count us down, Aster?
Sure.
You want to count
5,
us down, Aster?
4, 3,
Sure.
2, 1, go. 5, 4, 3. All right, good luck, everyone. 1, go. So, Super Metroid. All right, good luck, everyone. So, Super Metroid. We're going to be starting on Series Station as normal. Pretty much all of the categories don't really diverge until about 7 minutes in when we collect super missiles. Don't really diverge until about 7 minutes. This is an excellent movement game. There's a lot of hitbox manipulation techniques you'll see that they'll be doing to grab ledges faster. One of the first things that you can see is they're stopping slightly before the doors to give them time to open. That's called door checking. And so what that does is by allowing the door open and not bonking into it, it can begin the next room with more run speed. So there's all sorts of tech like that throughout the run that's really important for optimizing your times. And on Ridley, they all took damage from Ridley's tail. Ridley flies away when you're below 30 energy, and that is the fastest way to get him to fly away. The alternative would be shooting him 100 times, which is really slow. And so you'd only pretty much seen that in meme categories like one-hit KO or damageless. But yeah, so the Escape Through series, it's pretty simple and straightforward, but it's also very random with the steam patterns. It can be tough to get a good time on this. We got some 44s in here. Stars is a little bit behind, had some trouble with the steam there. It can be really tough in that last elevator room. The steam cycle is fairly consistent, but you can get trolled sometimes, but it's fairly consistent within itself. So what often happens is if you get hit by a steam, then your next opportunity to jump is really prime for you to get hit by another one. So we'll be down on the planet now, and they'll be heading towards Morph Ball and missiles, which you need both of those things to awaken the planet. Ploff and Kamaru, you'll see them falling really quickly. They're going for a technique, actually I believe all 4 of them are going for it. This technique is called Moonfall. It requires the Moonwalk option to be turned on. And if you jump off a ledge out of a moonwalk, then your falling speed is not capped. That was only discovered about 2 years ago, I think. The moonwalk mechanic happens while firing your beam, and it causes you to walk backwards. And we see them all getting the orb, which if you played Super Mario World before, you know that that ends the level immediately. So now that they're finished the sunken ghost ship, they're going to go get their missiles. So the moonfall that they did in the climb, that saves about 4 seconds total, and it's, I think, the single most time-saving moonfall in the whole game. There's a lot of difference between runners whether they decide to turn on moonwalk to take advantage of that or not, because the moonwalk mechanic, because it will always happen if you, under normal conditions, if you shoot and try and move backwards, you'll always get the moonwalk effect, so that can mess up movement if you're not used to it. But we see all 4 of them going into the climb right now. Star's still a little bit behind from series. And there are some different methods going on here. So Plop is doing the more traditional wall jump up the right side. Freya's and Kamaru are opting for the just defend climb, which ledge grabs the platforms. And ledge grabbing is a huge thing in hitbox manipulation. You'll see it all throughout the game, but it's particularly present in these early sections of the game when they're ascending. So Samus's hitbox has different heights for different poses, and the pose that she enters when you hit an angle button is much taller actually than her spin jump pose. So if you spin jump over a ledge and you hit an angle button, you'll lengthen Samus's hitbox to snap onto the ledge and lands on it faster than you would otherwise. So now we're going to the BT fight. They're going to try to shoot 5 P shots and then 7 missiles. They can only carry 5, so one of the difficult things about this fight, Kamaru actually got it rather nicely there, is you want to not pick up all the missiles at once. You want to pick up some and then still leave some on the screen to be able to get a total of 7, since you can only carry 5 at a time. It's always been the just defend climb, by the way. It's been misnamed by a lot of people. But anyways, I think Star's had some trouble there actually, because if you have taken damage, then you're not completely guaranteed a missile drop. You can get health instead, which can be bad if you're trying to get missiles there. But here, through the Green Pirates room, we're going to see everybody just tank the pirates. With the invincibility frames, you can get through 2 of them on the same hit. And they're going to keep all of their 5 missiles to be able to open this first red door, which requires 5 missiles to open. Yeah, 100% is everything that the game counts for the final collection percentage at the end of the game. So everyone's going to be doing a mock ball across the bridge, named because it mocks Samus's run speed. So if you do a running jump and you soft morph into the ground, you can keep your run speed as a ball instead of rolling more slowly like you normally would. Soft morph is basically just when you morph as you hit the ground. If you do it with the right timing, it's fairly lenient. If you do it with the right timing, then you do so without a bounce happening, so you don't lose your speed. And everyone getting the reserve tank back here and the 2 missiles. So it says 100% video to collect every item. Freya's went for Plop is about to go for it, I think. There's a reverse mock ball out of here that's quite difficult. None of them so far have gotten it. Stars might take a crack at it when they exit here. But that one is very difficult because you can't spend too much time when you reload the room, because the gate will come down on you, but you also can't go too high. So Stars is attempting that reverse mock ball now. Didn't get it either. It's quite difficult. So now they're all going to bomb their way through Big Pink. Freya's getting nice weave through those platforms on the way down. And they're actually going to be skipping that missile even though it's right there, because you have to come back through Pink Brinstar anyways later in the game to be able to get stuff that you can't get right now. So they'll be coming back later with power bombs, speed booster, stuff that will unlock all the other items. So it actually saves about 1 second to leave that missile for the next trip. What you do in the next trip actually is you grab the missile while you're waiting for a power bomb to explode. All right, so with the 100% route, every viable 100% route goes down Red Tower at the start. There's a lot of different routes you can take throughout the game, and particularly the 90% category has a route split, whether you go to Kraid first or Fantine first. Fantine being Kraid hates certain types of dances. I don't think I'm familiar with that particular Zelda 1 hint, but just prepping everyone for the Zelda 1 rando that's coming up after this. We're getting a lot of the hints early. The joke hints, rather. So yeah, any percent has a pretty well-known split where the Kraid first route is more classical and a lot easier for people to learn the game with, but it has a bit more backtracking, but you end up with more firepower. The Fantine first route for any percent is a lot more dangerous, and you get less firepower in the end, but you have to traverse less of the game, less backtracking, not going to plasma beaming. But because this is 100%, we are going to have to get every item, and because of that, there are 2 items in particular later in the game that require certain other items, so we have to follow the traditional route to be able to get those. So there's a wreck ship, there's a reserve tank and wreck ship that requires a speed booster to get, and the speed booster is down here in Orfair. Freya's doing the Kraid quick kill, was setting up for it, actually didn't get it at first, so very smartly held off on firing extra ammo and tried to do it a second time. So the way this works is if you send Kraid to his second phase with a shot that hits him when his mouth is in the middle of the 3 different positions, then it will stay open. And that's what you saw Kamaro just land. Ploff did not get it either, unfortunately. So we'll see Stars have a chance at it. So now that they have various suit, all damage is reduced by half, and they'll be able to survive heated areas in Norfair. Stars going for Kraid quick kill was a bit too early with that super landing. Kraid's mouth is in the nearly closed position. So we're 1 out of 4 on Kraid quick kills. It can be tough to do under pressure. The next up is we're heading into Upper Norfair to get all the goodies here. This is pretty much what the 80% Kraid first route does as well. We want to get all the items here, the major items that are useful for speeding up the rest of the game and also making some collection possible. So we're getting high jump first, and then speed booster and weight beam in the Bubble Mountain area. The room with this one crawly creature called a Nova, they have to make sure to kill that to get the door to open, and they have to be quick, otherwise the Nova runs off screen. And you want to kill it when it's still in the first screen to be able to open the door right away, because when you open a flashing gray door, that removes the gray door cat forever. So the next time that they come in the room, they'll be free to leave without having to kill the Nova again. If they don't manage to kill it in a place where they can open the door, then they can would have to chase it around the room again. Alright, so high jump, giving them access, or easier access rather, to the rest of Upper Norfair via the cathedral, which Kamaru is just entering, named for its lovely spires, and the item that is famous for having your first powerbomb pack and randomizers. Freya's going to wall jump up the side of Bubble Mountain just like that. This skips a whole loop around you're normally required to do called a volcano. It's a thing that you'll see in pretty much every speedrun of this game. The main danger to that is the cack attack at the top of the mountain can easily knock you off. So Freya's with a lead going into the speed booster room. Kamaru getting a nice damage boost off that cack attack upon landing up there. But Kamaru trailing in second, and Ploff in third place, having a bit of trouble getting that wall jump. Also getting the damage boost off the waiver. So what Ploff was doing, actually, they were holding a charge during the during wall jumping up. And if you spin jump with the charge being held, you do something called a pseudo screw attack, which can protect you from projectiles, and it can also kill weak enemies on contact. And so that's a safety measure that you can do to try and get those wall jumps up there. So everyone having speed booster. Star's still making their way up towards it, but next is Wave Beam. Also, did we just hit 12k? That's really neat.
Yep, we have just hit 12k.
That's awesome. Thanks, everyone. Oh, Frey's taking a bit of a fall on the way back. This big room is called Double Chamber, and if you fall in it, it can be really annoying to get back up because the platform cycles can be a bit weird. They can block you from getting a good jump back up, even if you're trying to land on them. Aim at the eye of the ghost elephant. I like this one. Referencing Fantine, I think. Which I think at least most of them are going to be putting the wave beam to good use on Fantine. We'll see when we get there. So Freya's going to Crocomire. This is the first big deviation that you'll see from Crocomire doesn't actually have an HP value. It is just push it back into the acid. And it'll randomly swipe every so often and shoot orbs at you, which is not very helpful to you normally, since you already have an orb. Freya's is going to do a shot into this wall, actually called a wraparound shot. And if you do that correctly, you'll be able to hear the door open off screen. This is a very, very minor time save. It's going to let the runners shine spark through the door. On the left side of the room, which is now opened. And the way that works is pretty weird, but essentially, there is a copy of the room. There's a copy of each room to the right of it that has a few specific things, like most of the collision. Oh, it looks like they didn't actually end up getting the wraparound shot. You have to be flush against the wall for this setup to work. The way Ploff did it should work, I think. But yeah, so wraparound shots, the way that they work is there's a second copy of each room directly to the right of it, shifted about a tile upwards, I think. And it's basically a parallel universe. If you have heard that terminology from other games, it's just a side effect of the way that the game's coordinates work when it's trying to tell where you are. So if you go out of bounds, it considers there to be another copy of at least the collision in the room, although slopes behave very strangely. So there was Kamaru trying to get the shine spark that you want the wraparound shot for, but he accidentally sparked upwards. Also, I think Freya's opted to get the pantry missile. This big room is called the pantry because there's that missile all the way up top. And the optimal way to get that is to actually do a couple of grapple swings off of these rippers flying around up here. But it's very difficult, and you lose quite a bit of time if you go for it and you don't get it first try. So it looks like Kamaro's opting to do that strat as well, getting this first. And does a very nice moonfall back onto the ledge to fall faster. Stars got the shine spark through the wraparound door. So shine sparking is something you can do with Speed Booster. Speed Booster is more like standard effect is it lets you run faster, and after a certain number of specific frames of Samus's animation of running, you'll get the blue suit effect, which lets you break Speed Booster blocks and destroy enemies, pretty much. But if you crouch when you have that blue suit effect, you charge something called a Shine Spark. And when you charge a Shine Spark, you have exactly 3 seconds to input the wind up for it and select a direction. The mechanics behind actually inputting one are kind of wonky. So if you do one in the air, it's actually very easy to accidentally spark up or diagonally, depending how you input it by accident. So there's kind of a lot of danger to that throughout the run. It's fairly hard to control. So after collecting all those items, leaving Croc is a very convenient way to get out of Norfair. But Freya's still in the lead, heading back up Red Tower, going to go towards the wrecked ship. And up Red Tower is normally where we would get our first power bombs. And and Ploff is saying they have no supers, which is a bit unfortunate for a few reasons. One of the big reasons that having supers coming out of Norfair is nice is because the Cack Attacks, which are guaranteed super drops, they will drop large energy if you fall on supers. So it's a nice way to get your health back up. I have a feeling that maybe they might go for the energy recharge station here for safety. I see them equipping supers, so that probably is what they're going to do. So I was looking away and I missed Freya's red tower climb, but I am guessing that what they did was the buffered angle shot into down grab, which is a really difficult but really swag way of doing it. It is faster. Ploff doing a very safe method, just power bombing all the rippers to get them out of the way, and it does break that shot block at the top as well. Freya's doing some damage boost to get out of the beta power bombs room. That's where normally the second power bomb you'd obtain in the game is. Ploff being in the room, the alpha power bomb room where you'd normally obtain the first. Since you're not supposed to go to Croc before getting power bombs. Normally you're supposed to actually have grapple before getting wave beam, but since they had wave beam, they're able to shoot through walls and activate a gate that normally they wouldn't be able to activate, at least not without a gate glitch. But the wall jumping techniques can break the intended order of this game quite a bit, even by doing very simple wall jumps. And so now Freya's is going to Shine Spark across the ocean, West Ocean actually. There is an East Ocean that we almost never see, to get to the wrecked ship. And in other categories, you might see a strat called the Ocean Fly that actually has that Shine Spark span both rooms, and it requires really precise timing of that opening of that moat door. But it's actually faster if you have Grapple Beam to just use it to cross the moat without Shine Sparking it first. Kamara taking a save after beta power bombs. Actually, this is the closest on route save point before one of the most dangerous things in the 100% route, Spiky Death Room. We'll be seeing that from Freya's fairly soon after she defeats Fantoon. After they defeat Fantoon, rather. So Freya's, they're unequipping Spazer to do a special beam attack with a wave beam. Wave beams in particular is called X Factor. And so if you select power bombs and charge the beam for 2 seconds, oh, they're starting with the Doppler actually. I'll explain that after. But that X that you saw, that's a special beam attack with the wave beam. Hold charge for 2 seconds with only wave beam and charge equipped. And there are 4 particles that center on Samus in the shape of an X. And that does 4 super missiles worth of damage in general if all the particles connect. Only 2 supers worth to Fantoon, but that's because Fantoon takes double damage. And very nice finisher with the super. So super missiles by far do the most damage to Fantoon, but if you super Fantoon and it doesn't die, then you get an enrage phase which lasts for, I want to say, this is a guess, but I would say around like 12 to 15 seconds, where he just fans his flames around 8 times. And so you only want to do the super missile when it's going to kill it. Also, I misspoke a bit. Freya's didn't do Doppler, just normal missile hits at the start. I think they did a Doppler in the second round, actually. I can't remember. A big thing with Fantoon is keeping track of how much damage you've done. Kamaru going just for the wave spazer shots, which is a very safe 4-round at least. Freya's very nice damage boost through Spiky Death Rune. This is actually the room where probably the most single easy place to die in 100%. The run's fairly safe from deaths afterwards, but that room is the reason that Kamaru took a save earlier. And it's all for this one energy tank that's in the back of Rex ship. Unfortunately, they fell in the water, which is not really intentional. It's much better to just grapple across on the way back, but things happen sometimes. Ploff takes down Fantoon. Kamaru's still working on it. Oh, Kamaru's at very low health. It's a good thing that Stars is just starting their Fantoon fight, so. Yeah, so Kamaru only being at 103 health, and not having his reserve anymore. 218 coming out, that's not the worst. But the Spiky Death Room is scary because the platforms are technically considered enemies, which means that if you do a pose transition on top of them, you can actually clip through them, even though they're supposed to be solid on top. And this results in taking damage from them, and usually ending up in the water and in the spikes, which is very hard to maneuver in, and usually taking more damage. So the platforms themselves, they're called Kazans. Nobody calls them that because it's annoying to say. But they do 100 damage with various suit. And they can definitely end runs here. So health management is actually pretty important in this section because, well, most of the runners is the longest Shrine Spark in the game. After Wreck Ship, after getting Gravity, I think everyone except for Freya's is going to be heading towards Gauntlet. So there's a wraparound shot in the landing site that you can do to Shrine Spark left all the way through all the bomb blocks in the Gauntlet. And it looks really cool, but it costs over 2 energy tanks. Did Freya's forget right side Attic Missile? I did not catch that, there's a lot going on, but they will have to go back for that. Kamaru lining up very carefully that damage boost to get across. Spiky Death Room, as Ploff is on their way back from it. So I asked them about routes, and the main route split in Hondo is actually whether you get early grapple or early ice. Early ice really doesn't save all that much time, and you need one of those 2 methods to be able to get to Spring Ball in Meridia. So grapple is the intended way, and using Ice Beam instead requires a very precise ceiling clip. There's some ceiling clips with Ice Beam that are very easy to set up, but this is not one of them. And the route, because you do Crocomire much later, you save a bit of time being able to use Plasma Beam on the fight, but you also don't have access to that energy tank before fighting him. I really like like this. Go north, west, south, and west to find Batoon's hitbox. That's a good one. Batoon's hitbox is basically impossible to understand. So actually seeing people do the the wreck ship attic missiles and not forget them, Ploff is working on that and got a very nice clip through one of the work robots. If you're blinking from damage and you spin jump into a work robot as it's walking towards you, you can actually clip into it. And so now that Freyas, Freyas has to kill all the enemies in the room again. Oh, Kamaru got the clip through the work robot and then went back through to the other side and ended up in the spike pit. And yeah, so this last one, you can also clip through it, but if it's walking away from you, then you're not going to be in a position to do that, unfortunately. So Freya's had to kill all the enemies in the attic again. It unlocks all the doors in the room, but you actually, like I mentioned with the Nova near the high jump room 15 minutes ago, you need to have opened a blinking gray door for it to be gone forever. So because they didn't open the right side door, they had to kill all the enemies again to get it to open. So Freya's, because of the way that they exited wreck ship from the top, took a kind of a non-standard route to that missile, but they're still in the lead. Ploff just about to get gravity, so in seconds. Let's see how Stars handles the missile room, the work robot room. Okay, so they're pushing back the work robots right away, so they aren't going for the clip. The third one, you can get around by not clipping it. Either you can actually, it's possible to be fast enough to just go up and around it. Also, the wreck ship reserve tank, which Ploff is picking up right now, this is one of the main obstacles to doing alternate routes in 100%, is that you need speed booster to be able to get this. So doing an early wreck ship route, I guess number one, like while it would save on backtracking, you wouldn't be able to get that item, and also the movement items, because you cover much more ground in 100% getting everything, the movement items help a lot more. So Freya's, yes, I was in the middle of mentioning this earlier, but they are doing a late gauntlet route. I think they're the only ones here doing that. It's a little bit faster to do gauntlet here with the wraparound Shrine Spark that I mentioned, so I'm sure we'll see that attempted by some of the other runners here. But it requires either a ship refill, which looks like most of them are going to have to ship refill for it. Ploff actually is fine, probably, but the others will have to ship refill to have enough. So you need about 230 energy to do this Shrine Spark. And so you can actually route it to do Gauntlet at the very end of the game, and that's what Phrase is doing. So they're pulling ahead pretty significantly due to delaying this, but it is generally the route to do Gauntlet now. So Ploff attempting the wraparound. This shot is fairly precise. There's visual cues for it. The reason that wraparound shots are this precise, actually. Oh, it looks like they got it, and they're going to do the spark now. So if they got it correctly and that door opens, it looks like they're using their manual reserves a little bit to make absolutely sure that they have enough health to clear this. Okay, nicely done. And we get to see the rest of Gauntlet now. The nice thing is you have an energy tank here, which refills all your health that you lost from that. So we have Kamaru taking the ship refill. If you have to ship refill for Gauntlet Spark, it does end up being a bit slower to do this route. That's kind of how close it is. So although Freya's isn't doing the necessarily optimal route for this, it's not losing them very much time, and it's generally a consistency thing to not have to worry too much about your health in this segment. So they will appear maybe 2 minutes-ish ahead, more ahead than they are for the rest of the game, because the Gauntlet is what they'll be going back for as their very last items. That route works because it dumps you right into the entrance to Turian here.
This be a good time for some donations?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've talked enough.
No problem. We have a lot of donations here. We have a $10 donation from Xandra, which is the classic, "You had one less of this thing, and now you have one more." We have an anonymous $100 donation. Thank you, Anonymous. We have a $500 donation from the world famous, of course, Mr. Rossetti, which I will try to do in my best imagining of what Mr. Rossetti sounds like. Hey kids, Mr. Rossetti here. Another year, another power up with pride. We showed the stream into town square so all the animals can watch. They all started cheering when they saw the Zelda 2s. And now all the kids want to learn to speedrun. We put the final touches on our Pride Parade this year, and Isabel's been working her little heart out. She and her missus are going to be leading the parade with a whole marching band. All the animals are coming to, and we've managed to book them Squid Sisters to play the night before. Tom Nook is building the stage right now, free of charge. We know some animals out there that don't treat kids right. Times can get tough, but you gots to always keep hope. A lot of us care, and we'll keep fighting to make sure yous can live happy and healthy lives. We all took up and managed to put together 500 bells. Take them. We know they'll go to good use. Anything to help the kids is worth it. Sending you my best, Mr. Rossetti. P.S. Don't forget to save before powering off your game. I'm watching you. We have $200 from our own runner, Meg Macattack. Thanks for having me yet again. Power Up with Pride is amazing, and it's always amazing to be a part of it. Good work, everyone. Thank you so much, Meg. We have a $20 donation that went to the evil sprites for Zelda, for the Zelda 1 randomizer, which is still trailing behind good, by the way, if you want to get in on that. That just says evil, these went to the good sprites, and it says evil is not nice, but we do have a $5 donation from Xeris that did go to the evil sprites saying evil is just cooler. Then we have a $50 donation from MedMegaX that just says heart. Thank you, MedMega. And we have a $11 donation from Kelsey, she, her, that says that just also says heart. And a $5 donation from Ellie that says, I want to see those evil sprites. Cheers to everyone running this event and contributing to this great cause. And thank you all so much for those donations. You've pushed us to 12,000. Power Up with Pride 2018 raised $14,365. So we're getting close to last Power Up. So I think we can get there. I think we can get close to there before the end of this run. So, yeah, I'll let you get back to the commentary.
No problem. This is mostly like a cleanup section of Brinstar that everyone else is going through. There wasn't too much to say about it. There's one trick to get Spore Spawn Super Missile from the back without ever having to fight it. That's I think Kamaru is actually shortly on his way to doing. Frey's pulling way ahead into the next area of the game, Meridia, because of the early gauntlet route. The cleanup section in Brinstar here, I personally like it. It's kind of relaxing, but it's a way to like, it just kind of emphasizes a lot of like the early game areas, but with how much better or how much more robust your movement is with the items like high jump and speed booster. So going through these areas, not really doing much except for collecting items, feels kind of nice to pull off the movement and the strats. Kamaru making his way out of the Spore Spawn Super Missiles, actually. So the way that those missiles are gotten without fighting. Oh, very nice. Kago Morphball by Freya's actually into that bug is called a Memu. If you morph in a small frame window, as soon as you get hit by an enemy, you don't receive any knockback because the game can't interrupt certain animations. They're actually called uninterruptible animations. Morphing, turning around are some of those. They can actually eat inputs as well, which is kind of annoying. But they're the basis for some tech in this game. If you've seen them quickly drop through curl blocks as well. Stars actually just did the super shot for our last Spore Spawn skip here. And that works very similar to a wraparound shot. The thing that makes wraparound shots difficult, although that's not actually one, but the mechanic behind them being difficult is that your shot despawns when it's been off screen for 2 frames. So for the wraparound shots, you have to position yourself very precisely so that on one of those 2 frames, your beam is going to connect with the door that's out of bounds, or in the case of Spore Spawn's super missile block, the super needs to connect with that super missile block before being despawned due to being off screen, and the camera makes sure that that's always off screen. So it's kind of set up in a hacky sort of way by the developers to make sure that you can't shoot it from the back, but it is actually possible to. So Freya is having a bit of a rough Batoon fight. Trying to use the X Factor as an opener, that's a pretty standard strategy. Lets you get, basically you need 10 super missiles worth of damage, and the X Factor lets you get 4 right off the bat. Also, missing the full halfie, not able to get the spark set up because they bonked the door there. Full halfie is a pretty difficult Shrine Spark. You don't have a lot of time to do all the wall jumps to get it. Going across the Coliseum here on the way to Dragon. And Kamaru lining up to Shrine Spark up to the very first item in Meridia, the Main Street missile. So we still have Freya's in the lead, Ploff in second. About to do the beach area. Kamaru is going to be following right behind. So Freya's is doing a Shine Spark and X Factor opener for Dragon. And if you Shine Spark through the top of Dragon's forehead, that's where most of her hitboxes overlap. And very nice kill. So they actually have a blue suit now from having killed Dragon with the Shine Spark. Dragon's the only boss in the game that's vulnerable to Shine Sparks. And Dragon also has a special case that when you kill her, she forces you into a standing animation. And that is because there are those turrets on the wall, and one of the hidden ways of killing her is by letting her grab you and grappling the turret and frying her to death. And so they get this glitch blue suit as a side effect of this, and you're able to use it to spark all the way back across the Colosseum. And coming back around for this Bawtoon energy tank, it's actually better to get it on the way back after the fight, because doing the Shine Sparks for the Dragon fight consume a lot of your health, so it's a very good way to just get it back really. But yeah, so with the blue suit, because your Shine Spark gets interrupted, you get forced into a standing animation. The blue suit effect does not go away. That normally only goes away when you actually crash into a wall and go through the crash animation. So that's pretty much the only instance in the game that isn't from pretty heavy glitch abuse where that happens. So for years and years, it was the main documented way to get the blue suit glitch, and it's useful pretty immediately to Shine Spark back across. Ploff was going for at least the halfie. Had a lot of airtime on that last jump, so ran out the Shine Spark timer. It's a really tight trick to get. Kamara going into Bawtoon, the third runner, to fight him. And just opening with supers. So that's a strategy as well. It's more costly on your supers. But if people don't feel confident in the X Factor, you have plenty of supers in this route. Optimally, you want to save as many of them as possible. Just for general use throughout the game, and for Ridley as well. They do save some time on Ridley. Absolute highest DPS on the Ridley fight. That's much later in the game. So Ploff going into their Dragon fight while Freya's is waiting for our Lord and Savior Shaktul to finish lighting the way. I get a bit antsy whenever I see people charge Shine Sparks in Shaktul's room, because you can accidentally kill it. If you can accidentally kill it with Shine Spark echoes. So Ploff frying the shrimp, as we call it, getting that standing animation that they coded into the game, which was meant to prevent the game locking up after you fry the shrimp. but also has the side effect of making the blue suit possible here. Kamara opening with a Shine Spark has grapple selected already, so we know what he's up to. And Freya's making the correct decision of killing Shacktool on the way out. It's only good for one thing. So one great, amazing feature of the 100% route is that there are 2 sand pits in Meridia. Phrase has already gone down the right one. Ploff is going to do the same soon after getting back across Coliseum. Having to space jump all the way across because they did not get the blue suit glitch instead of frying Dragon. But normally you'd take the middle door here in the room that Ploff was just in to go through Cactus Alley, a room full of Cacatax, to get to Plasma Beam from there. But because there are 2 sand pits in Meridia and you can only go down to get them, you have to do 2 loops through Meridia to be able to get all of the items. So what the route does actually is goes down right sand pit, does Shacktool since it's closer to the right sand pit and isolated, and then goes up that turbo tube to get to Plasma. And we have a very nice Pride Plasma Beam in this game. I think all of our runners are going to have it. But basically, really Hyper Beam. Actually, Hyper Beam is pretty much... It's pretty much Charge Wave Plasma. It's pretty much a glorified Charge Wave Plasma, which is the beam that the beam combo that they have now. So I think it's pretty fitting. I actually don't remember who was responsible for putting this in the game. It might have been Freys themselves.
If you don't mind, I'll chime in real quick. It was Devilia on Discord who sent the IPS to me for the rainbow beams. And
okay.
And then Freya's took out the rainbow from all the other beams.
Okay. For that information. Yeah, so Devalia, who actually I know she's done some hard mode edits to the randomizer and some I think custom graphics as well. Well, a compilation of custom graphics others have made as well.
Would this be a good time for a couple more donations?
Well, just give me 1 minute or so.
That is okay.
Freya's is about to finish Meridia Norfair, begin the trip. Actually, yeah, now would be an alright time. Go ahead.
Okay, we have a $50 anonymous donation. Thank you very much. And we have a $25 donation from Febreze N. I went through the Spring Ball maze and picked up a Master Sword. Keep up the awesome racing. And don't forget that we still have 2 incentives left in this marathon. We have we have the save or kill the animals for this run. The cutoff is not for a little bit. So you still have time. It is actually pretty close between the two. And like, come on, we've done a lot of good. It's time to get some evil in here. So let's kill those animals. And for Z1, let's get those evil sprites. The evil sprites are trailing by also pretty close. So if you want to see our Zelda 1 randomizer runners play as some of the baddies instead of like the boring heroes or whatever, you can feel free to put your money there. Or if you like heroes, because who needs more evil in this world, you can ensure their lead, because I'm going to keep tempting people with I'm going to keep whispering evil thoughts into people's ears. Like, hey, don't you want to donate to this charity marathon like a good person to see some sprites representing an evil character in a fictional video game, still thereby doing good work and making people appreciate you? Yeah, so evil.
What an awful thing to say. Especially on air.
I don't know what came over me. Tempted by the darkness. It's so easy to fall into the darkness.
That ice beam is amazing, actually. Like the fact that normally ice beam dominates the color palette, actually, so it must have been coded in for the plasma, the pride beam to take priority, if you will. And frozen enemies just they always take your beam's palette. You don't really get to see any cool effects with it in vanilla because ice always has palette priority, which is kind of unfortunate. There's some ROM hacks that change that though, and I think make it a lot more fun. So Freya's was going for a boost off that enemy called a Viola. I believe they were going for it. And it's actually pretty tough to line up when you come in from the middle door there. It's a lot easier when you come in from the top, in my opinion. But it would damage boost you through a significant portion of the lava. Lava is weird in this game, so the developers really didn't want you to Shrine Spark or do any speed booster shenanigans while on lava. So they made it so that if speed booster is on, you cannot run in lava. It actually kills your run speed. And it only does that if speed booster is on. So because we have speed booster on, we have no reason to turn it off. The damage boost is a way to kind of compensate for being slowed down in the lava there. But there are some categories like reverse boss order actually turns speed booster off to be able to get bounce ball momentum throughout the lava there. I like how Stars is moonwalking, waiting for Shack Tool. And so that golden statue that Freya's just used to lower the acid, that actually checks for space jump. It will not do anything if you don't have space jump in your inventory. And going through that statue is the only way to get the missile in Golterizo's room, which Freya's just completely cheesed. The AI of Terizo's is very easily exploitable. For Golterizo in particular, you can just stand in the same spot, and it'll jump backwards over and over, and won't be able to hurt you, do anything. And also, One property of Plasma Beam is that it pierces most enemies, so it's very effective against Golden Chorizo. From a crouch position, you can actually shoot upwards and double hit it with each shot. Did Kamara skip Aqueduct items? That is a good question. Looks like he's saying that he just routed them in on the first pass instead. Oh, and Kamara actually going for the Kraid missiles. I didn't see if Freya's got those or not. I don't think they did. I mean, this missile you can route in either right before the second Orpheus visit or after leaving Lower Orpheus. Freya's managing to double hit those two bottom key hunters in this room with charged plasma, killing them. It's really good if you're able to do that, even though we do have Screw Attack to be able to do it as well. But it's really good to kill them on the way down if you can, because it reduces lag significantly. In fact, you have to lay 2 power bombs there. Is pretty huge. Power bombs contribute majorly to lag, and key hunters also do because of their wings. Their wings are actually a second enemy that possesses the key hunter, so it follows its movements and acts as the same enemy essentially, but technically it's 2 different enemies. Oh, Ploff unfortunately I think broke out a spin during their space jump through that lava and spike room. And the unfortunate thing is landing in the lava there kills your speed, so you aren't able to do very much to pick your speed back up. I'm loving all these, all the plasma, all the rain. Okay, and the Ridley fight. Really short in this category. You have full beam combo for it, which is only 20 shots total. And it does save time to use supers. I don't remember exact numbers, but it's something like, I think each super you use on Ridley still saves 1.5 seconds, even with this this amount of gear. Is it 20 frames? I might be thinking of a different category. But supers are ridiculous, no matter what other weapons you have. There's a lot of nuance to that fight. It's very complex, and you basically have to pay attention to very little of it if you have a fight that short. So Ploff at Golden Chorizo. Going to get these double hits. So notice that they're crouching and aiming upwards. That lets the beam hit GT twice while it's passing through its body. Buy medicine before you pogo. I didn't catch that one the first time. I really like that one. Freya's just pretty much doing cleanup, exiting Lower Norfair at this point. After killing Ridley, you've done all 4 major bosses. And so You can go right back to Turian to finish the game. We still have some items to clean up. The main area that gets left for last is the Retro Brinstar area, which is like an homage to Brinstar in Metroid 1. It's not very big though, but the endgame route goes up Red Tower, gets X-Ray on the way, and then passes up through there to grab the stuff there. There isn't really much of a better time to do that. Also, nice quick drops getting out of the PBs in jail. Stars coming out of Ice Beam. I don't think I caught any of the Ice Beam texts, unfortunately, myself. So Stars is charging a Shrine Spark here. I think was trying to do a horizontal spark at this missile to make collecting it a bit more reliable. Plop taking these pirates one at a time. I missed Phrase's fight myself, but judging from chat, I would guess that they went for... Oh, just missing that damage boost onto onto the Norfair reserve tank ledge. That damage boost is pretty tough to pull off with screw attack. You have to specifically break spin for it to work, and because the screw attack will just kill the enemy otherwise. So it's kind of a bit tough to do. Yeah, the fastest strat. Okay, so that would be the double manipulating them so you can do a shot that hits both of them, and then clean up the one that dive kicks left as you run left towards the door. It looks really nice when you pull it off, and yeah, so that was impressive. So I also really like that damage boost that Phrase did off that waiver just now, as they were laying the power bomb. As Ploff finishes it off, really waiting to get picked up. Kamaru is in a bit of a tough spot. So these ninja pirates, you jump over it, and stand at kind of like a medium distance to get it to jump over you. It's like a few tiles away. And once they jump over you, they're ready to dive kick you if you approach them from a few tiles in the direction that they're supposed to be facing. But if you get too close to them, they can just break out of that, and it won't be it won't have the dive kick ready, I guess, anymore. It'll be back to its initial state where you have to get it to jump again. So those can be really annoying to deal with, especially if you end up positioning them in really awkward spots. Kamaru has a lot of leftover supers, so just pumping them into Ridley. Stars fighting GT, getting those double hits in. And Freya is going to X-Ray. So reminder that Freya has not done the area yet, so we'll have to double back for that. And so they're definitely in the lead still, but not quite as big of a lead as it may look. I do like how we get X-Ray near the end of this run, when it's very well known for doing two particular things that you would not need to do at the end of a run like this. So using it to be able to see items and walls and discover new passages and such after doing everything in the game, and also it being the item that breaks the entire game to pieces, getting it at the end of the game when it's not too useful. In glitch categories, we can do some really crazy things with X-ray. Like, if you go out of bounds and you go really far down off the map, the values that X-ray changes in RAM get displaced so far that they start affecting values of RAM that they're not supposed to, and they can set flags like the escape flag. And I think a lot of the RAM stuff that just turns the screen orange. Freya's into Billy Maze, which I've heard explained too many times. X-ray climbs are super dangerous. They're probably not as bad as gamma ray climbs. I think I'd be afraid to do one of those. So Ploff is the second one out of Lower Norfair. Star's still making their way to Ridley. Kamaru, having done Ridley, also making his way out of Lower. Freya's keeps that shine spark up the elevator, uses it to get across this room. I believe that's like technically slower than optimal movement through that room, but it's so annoying to get through that room that I think just about everyone does the shine spark. Yeah, so Freya's in the lead. Ploff in second, Kamaru in third, Star's in fourth. Freya's lead is large enough that them not having done Criteria Gauntlet yet, they're still going to be ahead after they complete it. So Star's sticking with the beam fight for Ridley. The supers, they save time, but they make it much more difficult to count the shots during the fight, and you also want to keep at least some for Turian. Not as much as you'd want in any percent, because you can supplement with much more missiles, but it's not very good to have none. I think Ridley's my favorite fight in the game, honestly. It's so much fun to do. Ploff about to be the second one to get X-ray. Okay, Freya's not doing the ship refill to confirm 100%. They did say that they weren't going to be doing that, so Also, yes, Space Pelican. Good name. I think a few people in the packing community have called it that for a number of years. And they're going to be doing, they're doing the wraparound shot with plasma, which, it's pretty much the same as doing it with Spazer. There are different setups for, Spazer on or Spazer off. So, one of the other runners, I forget who was doing it with just Wave, and that's a more precise setup. But I think it's also a more well-known one, oddly enough. I think the falling down one that Phrase is using is a very uncommon one, though. But like, absolutely nothing to worry about in terms of health management for that Shrine Spark here. So. And so, after getting the Gauntlet missiles, Freya's will have converged routes and be even with the items that everyone else is going to have at that point. And this dumps you right into Torian, so... Just the main disadvantage of that route is having to run one screen back over to the ship. You're mostly losing that amount of time. Also, it looks like they're ahead of PV pace, which I think is specifically why they said they didn't want to lose time to a ship refill to check, so... hopefully we as chat have done a decent job yelling at people for missing items.
Would this be a good time for a quick donation?
About a minute or so worth, yeah.
Okay, we just quick and simple. A Silent Harmony donates $6.90 with the comment "nice" in all caps. I assume that it's because today is the 6th or the 9th of June, aka 6/9. So, you know, if you really like today, and why wouldn't you? There's a cool marathon going on that you're all watching. You can also celebrate it by donating this same amount, or if you're, if you're in Europe or something, you can donate $9.60. I mean, it's just a date.
All right, the way through all of the rainbowy Metroids. There's only 4 rooms, but they're really tough to execute cleanly, especially with Space Jump. And now they're going to go for the baby skip, which is this is a really tough trick to learn. You basically play jump rope with the baby Metroid. You manipulate its arc so that it doesn't grab you, and then for the last jump you want to jump and morph just like that. You want to like time that just so it's at a certain point in its swing so that it doesn't beeline for you. So that was very nicely done. 69 health here. Yeah, 69 health is actually pretty common because usually you'll take a hit from one of the blue side hoppers there and they do 30 damage. And at the start of Turian, actually, they turned off Variasuit and Screw Attack. Screw Attack because the Zebutite skip that Freya's just did relies on invincibility frames, and spin jumping with screw attack resets your invincibility frames. So that particular method, which is the most commonly used method, I think, doesn't work. With screw attack on. And various is for the stand-up glitch at the end of the Mother Brain 2 fight. This fight's also only 20 shots, and it's very short and 100%. Also, did Kamaru forget the Rinstar Wavegate E-Tank? I'm actually surprised that I didn't notice that, given that the E-Tank count should be easily noticeable throughout the run. So Frey is damaging themselves down to 700, just above 700 energy. There's a window if you are between 700 and 999 before the first Rainbow Beam connects. The game is in a weird kind of edge case where it lets you stand back up, but it's not in the phase where it has enough health to think that it should fire another Rainbow Beam at you. So it's trying to whittle you down with attacks, thinking that you're stuck on the ground, but you are in fact not. So you can actually get damage in on Mother Brain's third phase during this, and the result being you can end up shooting fewer Hyper Beam shots. Now, the damage doesn't actually start counting until Mother Brain, around when Mother Brain turns gray. I don't remember if it's exactly that moment, but it's close enough. So in Metroid room number 3, which I think is that's the hardest to do cleanly, I think. If you do stand-up glitch really well, you can get just enough shots to skip the entirety of the third phase and not have to shoot any shots. I think that's actually technically a bit slower than having to shoot one shot, because if you don't have to shoot any shots, it takes a bit for her to walk into position and decide to die on her own for whatever reason. The game is weird. Also, yes, we need to call on Saber Kill.
It's we are officially saving the animals. It was a close race, but Meg Mac Attack donated $110.69 at the last minute, which gave Save the Animals a very, very far lead. It's not too late to be on Team Evil though. Can still do evil for the sprites in Zelda 1.
Oh. Okay, so we're saving. There's quite a wide, or a much wider gap earlier, I think. But the kill camp was going strong for a while. Oh, their PB's gonna be fine here, don't you worry. I think this may be assuming that they run the category in the future, but GG to Freya's Spirit, who's finished with an official Power Up with Pride time of 1:27:32. PBing by 4.5 minutes. Yeah, congratulations. That was a pretty clean run throughout. We've got Ploff near the end of the Mother Brain Phase 2. Kamara trailing, about to get to the baby. Ploff setting up stand-up bush. We've got Stars sparking up to the Kotiri Supers. And I think they are one item from entering Torian. We've got Ploff on PB pace as well. And it's a successfully executed stand-up glitch. And there are 2 points in the cutscene at which the game tries to snap you back to the ground. And that is when the Metroid latches onto Mother Brain's head and then detaches from it. So you have to make sure that you're not on the ground during those times. That's one of the main things. So congrats to France. I'm not sure if we'd like to have them talk about their run or get things moving on once the others finish. So whatever you guys want.
Okay. You can pull them in here for now, at least.
Hello, hello.
Hi, congratulations.
Dear horse. We are super happy with that run. Oh right, we had to wait for the item collection. We totally forgot about that part. We are very happy with that run. We are really happy with
Officially verified Romantic run.
We're happy with the baby skip. We're super happy with the text that we chose for Spring Ball. After using it to have it. And just
Yeah, no, do you plan to run this more in the future, or was this kind of like the way to go out on it?
we're planning our future 100% hundo item to be probably the Red Scarlet route more of that, because we enjoy that more than the vanilla route, more than the world record route. Like we forget who their name was, but super happy. Let's see, it was the person who Devalaya. Devalaya gave us an amazing setup for the Rainbow Plasma, and we would not have been able to do that ourselves. So huge shout out to Devalaya for that. That they made this possible. And GG Ploff.
Yeah, that
Thank
was
you.
really cool. GG, Ploff.
Yeah, so I was like -8 seconds going into Mother Brain, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna lose this to animals, aren't I? But I didn't. I lost it to Escape and MB1. So, so
Oh
it's
no.
okay. Yeah, it would have been like 9 seconds slower than PB had it not been for saving animals, but it's what the people donated for.
Yeah, we all have to
Design-
make sacrifices sometimes.
Yeah. I would have gladly sacrificed the PB for saving the animals.
This is our first PB with animals saved. New adventure. We had a lot of fun designing the message boxes, and the 2 days before the event started, we just basically grinded that out really hard and wrote a script to generate message boxes, and that was way more work than we were expecting it to be, but it was completely worth it. And a huge thank you to Sixfold /Bluff, who put a lot of work into that as well. Shout out to everybody who helped test it.
It was, I would say, 80 to 90% Freya's, but thank you. I'll take my 10 to 20%
That
credit.
10 to 20% helped a lot because we were under so much time pressure.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if anybody noticed because it wasn't. Oh my God, Kamara's going for Blue Bomber. What a legend!
This trick's really cool. And it's like the big risky thing to do. The Shine Spark is very safe, but this is a lot more swag.
I don't know if anybody noticed because it wasn't mentioned on commentary. I almost died to Kraid, so I had 6 health going into the Kraid fight, and I was like, all right, so if I miss the stand-up glitch, I might die. Yeah! All right, Kamara got Blue Bomber. I was really excited. So I was thinking, like, hey, if I miss stand-up glitch and I actually have to fight Kraid, I might, like, die because I have no HP.
Got it.
And I almost did. I almost died to a claw, but it was fine. So
I absolutely did notice that, and I didn't say anything because obviously it's Kraid and I wasn't worried about it at all. So
yeah, I wasn't either until I missed stand up, and then I was like, oh God, there's people watching. And my heart was pounding pretty hard.
okay, I actually didn't notice.
Yeah.
It's
I was dying. It was fine though. Second hardest my heart has ever pounded while I was sitting completely still. The hardest, of course, was GM in TGM.
So I mean,
Very
Blue Bomber
important.
isn't just swag. It is faster because you don't get the crash animation. I just want to clarify that it's not like pure swag. It does have a use.
Yes.
Aster, did you catch the X-ray message?
Probably not.
Secret power is said to be in the phaser beam.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't catch it then. I liked the space jump one, and there was one other one that I really liked. I can't remember.
What was the space jump one?
The space jump was
Show just the Chozo?
yeah, show this to the Chozo, and then screw attack was buy medicine before you pogo. That one was pretty good.
Yeah,
It's
making
like-
that was so much fun.
It's like a combination of is it just buy medicine before you go? Is the line in Z1?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a combination of that and wake me up before you go. So
No, it's just Ridley's pogoing.
I know, but like it just that's how it read to me, as a combination of both of those things. Also, yeah,
Kamara playing with the animals.
Kamara giving them a nice acid bath. A+ babysitting skills.
We're super happy that all this came together, that the rock came together, and that we then we ended up just before Z1 in the schedule. Super amazing.
Yeah. Also, thank goodness I didn't forget an item. I would have donated $100 if I forgot one, but I was hoping I wouldn't forget anything.
How much are you donating for me forgetting an item?
I'll donate. How much do you want me to donate?
I'm looking at my health. I see 2 missing energy tanks. I'm looking at my splits. I see 1 upcoming energy tank. Thank goodness item fanfares are so long, so I can Google the list of where all the energy tanks are.
That's amazing.
I guess if you didn't find the E-tank, you were about to wave goodbye to 100%.
I don't think it looks like nobody 99%ed this race, which is pretty great.
Yeah, any Hundo race where everybody doesn't 99 or nobody 99% is great.
And
No
nobody
deaths,
died in
no
Spiky Road of
99%.
Death. Yeah.
We played it super safe before the Spiky Road of Death. We were taking extra farms everywhere so we could just not die.
We
And we
almost
didn't
died.
need any of the health. No,
We almost
Stars
died
was
in Spiky
facing
Road.
right when
No!
yeah, Stars was facing right when the game gave control back to Samus, or was supposed to anyways. The game doesn't like that. I'm
I'm
not
fairly
really sure
certain,
why.
yeah, they saved right before Mother Brain.
Can that be fixed by holding select or holding item cancel? Or is that not possible?
I don't know.
Is that what happened to me because I was facing right?
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I know it's happened to me a couple times where like something weird will happen when you get Hyper Beam, and then the game lags out for up to 5 minutes and then is fine.
Yeah, we know that that's a thing. If there's a shot on the screen, we did not know that facing right can cause a problem there. We're learning more about the stand-up lore.
The lore, dude. I mean, stand-up glitch is fun. There's like 4 different ways to softlock. It's great.
Way
feel
more
like-
than that.
So I think that that could have resolved itself with just waiting a little bit. Not sure.
It's probably the same thing that happened to me, where it just took a couple seconds and then it was coming back.
Yeah, we think that could have been fixed by just holding item cancel, but we aren't certain. With stand-up, you can soft lock you can fail to stand up fast enough so you're on the ground when baby spawns. You can hit boop Mother Brain and die. You have to be on the ground when the baby is attaching to Mother Brain.
You can.
One time we were
freeze
trying to
the baby
space
in the wrong
jump through that,
spot.
and we slid straight into Mother Brain and died instantly.
Oh,
You can get the baby. You can get the baby stuck outside the room if you jump too high.
You can get the baby stuck in a position where Mother Brain can't hit you. You can transition to the rainbow beam with the charge shot with a shot on the screen. You can be facing right. We just learned.
It's a great glitch. It's a really great thing to have at the end of like an hour-and-a-half long run.
We don't think that there's really any way to describe this other than stand-up lore.
Could be drinking milk and the game would crash.
If you sneeze on the console while you're doing stand-up glitch, there's like a 30% chance it'll crash. Ugh.
All right, we've got 300% so far.
100% to go.
So there's also a weird thing with the randomizer that I think some people here might be familiar with stand-up, but if you get stuck slightly in the floor, one of the side effects of the randomizer shortening Mother Brain's rising cutscene at the start of the fight is that it doesn't lower the acid all the way. So you can, if you get stuck in the floor in randomizer, you can take acid damage and die.
So, after Stars finishes, we're gonna need everybody in voice, and that includes you, Hex, to give us very loud Deer Force when it comes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I don't really know what Deer Force is, but
You just say it.
pretend I do.
Don't worry.
You say it when the word Deer Force appears on the screen
Yep.
at the end of the credits.
Okay.
It's the people that made this game. Oh, also obligatory Samus is trans. I have evidence.
I know embarrassingly little about Super Metroid. I've played it, is the worst part.
Do you know what the Super Metroid is?
Yeah, it's the Metroid that lives inside your Super Nintendo, duh.
No, it's the friends we made along the way.
I can't believe I can't believe I fell for that one. Like I should have expected it. I should have seen it coming, but I didn't.
I mean, arguably it's the baby Metroid, but really, it's the friends we made along the way.
No, it's the real Metroid that Nintendo puts inside every Super Nintendo.
I gotta open up my SNES Junior and.
You will die if you do that.
Oh, okay.
It's
All
a
right.
Metroid. What are you doing?
I wanna give
Cuddling
it a
it.
hug. Yeah. They just want hugs, just like everybody else. I mean, I guess not everybody likes hugs, but you know, a lot of people do.
Hey, with
Metroids do.
Super Metroid crowd control, you can buy your friends hugs from the baby Metroid.
You can.
You can. And you can even buy them a super baby hug, which slows down your horizontal speed by 1/8 rather than 1/4.
Hey, did you know that we have a crowd control linked to the past race coming up in a couple runs?
Whoa, that's
Wink, wink,
crazy.
nudge,
Oh,
nudge.
I had no
Doing my
idea,
job
actually.
as a host.
Crowd control run is going to be absolutely amazing.
I'm
Getting
so
to kill the runner over and over and over, coming up with creative ways to kill the runner.
I'll have to make sure I catch that. I didn't know that was going on. Thanks for letting me know.
We'll let you know how it goes.
Come on, you can do it.
Star's going out of their way to save every last etiquette.
See, now I kind of wish that I had speedballed into the animals, like go out to the ship and then run back and do a speedball in. I've done it once.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's really swag.
I got to do a speedball on my way back to pick up the energy tank that I missed. That makes up for the speedball that I missed in the exit to Lower Norfair.
Yeah.
GG Stars, finishing with an official Power of Pride time of 1 hour, 45 minutes, 45 seconds.
Thank you. That was a terrible run. We're at almost +9 from our PB and like +5 from our estimated time. We had a lot of issues and we had some nerves at the beginning.
Super Metroid is a very hard game.
Yeah, it is.
Not dying at all alone, not dying and grabbing all the items really ask for, because that alone is difficult.
It's kind of crazy because like my first 100% run was like 2 hours and 1 second. And it's kind of wild to see like there are 30 minutes of time save in that run. And it like, I knew more or less what I was doing. Like I had a route and everything. And even now, like there's still another 15, 16 or so minutes of time save in my PB, which is just wild. This game's ridiculous.
All you gotta do is turn yourself into Taskbot.
I mean, if you were a TAS, what was the time for the recent 100% TAS by Snick? Does anybody know?
Very low.
It was like
It was
0,
low.
I think. I could.
Also, Azure, I remember you mentioned the only way to collect the GT missile is by going forward with the space jump statue, and I was really tempted to unmute myself and say, well, technically...
Oh my god.
Technically, there's a crystal flash club, which no human has ever done, and lots of humans have probably tried.
And the task can use an X mode shine spark to clip through the blocks and get up there as well.
It's probably more feasible for like a human to do the X mode super jump rather than do the crystal flash clip.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah,
So-
I agree.
GG to all of you. You know, I'm really glad that y'all wanted to join us for this race because we really wanted to submit 100% and we really wanted to take part in Super Metroid with Pup. It's been in Pup since as long as we've been watching it. So we're really glad to be running it here. And thank you everyone behind the scenes, you know, for who put the streams together, who do all the work before the weekend starts, putting all of the deciding the run, the order, and the scheduling, and all of that stuff. This can't be easy to pull that together, but y'all do, and y'all pull it together and make it fabulous at the same time. So thank you all. Thank you everyone who was watching and donating. That bid war was pretty close early on, but I think if I remember right, Pup is every Pup that we've watched and Super Metroid's been in, we've saved the animals.
Which is
That's a-
great. It's
Yeah.
It's a huge-
objectively the best way to go with that.
Hard agree.
It is such a treat to be able to participate in these events as a runner.
So how long is it going to be for us until you have another run period that saves the animals? Because we know you don't like to do that normally.
All right,
Oh,
here we
dear
go.
force!
Dear Force.
Force.
Dear Force.
Perfect.
Thank you.
That's a
job,
little
everyone.
late.
Auto finish. Let's go.
See, the nice thing, Frey, is now that you have a new PB, I have a new goal time.
It'll be absolutely fascinating to watch you try and bop this. We await the gender that you will give us.
I mean,
for-
sub
for
30
this-
is definitely something I can do with more grinding, although 127.32 is going to be hard.
For those that just heard that and don't know what just happened is we're all friends and we have this little game. Whenever you get a PB that bops one of us, you get to assign the person you bopped a new gender. And so we all have a bunch of crazy genders assigned randomly.
I think my favorite gender that I've been assigned is guidelined, which was I think that was what was it? That was Giant Tetris, right? Was that Bop? It was one of the Tetris Bops.
It was either that or TGM.
Yeah, or like a Death Bop or something. TA Death, or maybe it was I don't even know now. God dang it.
All right.
So
we
we
need to. Do we need to get things moving, or for
Oh
the next
yeah.
run?
Let's.
Oh yeah. Follow all of these runners. They're all really good, and you
All the
should
runners
follow
here are
them.
amazing. And our amazing commentator, amazing host, amazing restreamer, amazing everybody who's participating in this event.
We agree, and we heard Freya's shout out earlier, but Devalia was the only person who responded. We reached out in a bunch of different discords and a bunch of places, trying to find someone who knew how to do the assembly and make that rainbow beams patch. And we just kept hitting a bunch of walls, but Devalia just came out of the blue like 2 weeks after we gave up and sent us that IPS patch. And so big shout outs, and also, to Freya's and Plough for working on the message boxes. We wanted to help out, we just didn't know how. But those message boxes were really fun to go through. And the way the ice beam with this Pride Beam hack, the way it froze enemies, like we just had to stop so you could see it on stream a few times, and hopefully it showed through pretty well.
Yeah,
'cause
that
they're
was a beautiful touch, and that the ice beam sprites, frozen sprites being rainbow was completely accidental.
Yeah, totally unintentional, but totally awesome. I want to say thanks, and also I want to say the Super Metroid race brought to you by Plural Gang and Kamaru. Moves on.
Thank you for injecting me into this meme. I'm very happy.
Thank you
to
for
be
running so
supportive
many races with us.
of Power Up with Pride with my friends. This is
And next up, we have the Zelda 1 randomizer. And Zelda 1 randomizers are just the best randomizer out there, because Zelda 1 randomizers allow you to randomize the dungeon layouts. And that feature alone makes it better than any other randomizer in existence. The only one which comes close is Super Metroid Zelda 3 Combo Rando.
We can hear you, so
Also, I'm a fan of Xandra's item get song.
you
mean
One less of this thing, and now you have one more.
Yeah, I take a very slight issue with that song because it implies that you've gained 2 of it. You had 1 less, and now you have 1 more. If you had 1 less than let's say it was you had 3 of them, you had 1 less saying you had 2, and you only have 1 more saying you have 4.
Those are dangerous words,
Hey.
Kamaru.
Hey, cutting this conversation off.
No, it's actually fine because the one less is referring to the state.
You're not gonna let me cut this one off, are you?
No. The one less.
I would be
referring to-
completely okay if you just muted us all right now.
You could just kick it. We could literally just keep going.
Well, while we're
No,
on
yeah,
the
I'm with
subject,
Asher because one less is past tense. You had one less, right? It's referring to how it was. It totally still works.
Yeah. So Wag to Dog in chat is saying x minus 1 versus x plus 1, but it's actually what is it? It's x plus 1 minus 1 versus x
Plus
minus
one.
1 plus some.
It's x plus 1, the quantity, minus 1 versus x plus 1. And now I'm not a mathematician, but I did minor in it, so I'm pretty sure that works
You
out to
had
be
one
only a
less
difference of
of
one.
this thing,
Hey.
plus 1, and now you have one more.
I just want to know that every single conversation that involves both Komaru and Ploff ends up like this, and it's wonderful.
I don't think
What is a sandwich?
I don't think either
God.
No.
have one less to stand on anymore.
God, okay, sometime when we're not on stream, you gotta hear Kamaru's absolutely ridiculous sandwich opinions.
We are not
It's
doing
anarchy.
this in front of 300
It's-
people.
I'm sorry.
If you want a fun exercise in language, try to define a sandwich on
No,
your
no,
own,
we
not in
have to
chat,
stop.
because that's a bad
Kamaru,
idea.
We have to stop.
That's it. On your own. It is a fun language exercise.
Oh God,
I love you two very much.
I love you too, Hex.
Love you too, Hex.
Okay, I'm gonna go now. Bye, everyone. I love you.
Bye, Paul. EP, I thank you again.
Pop Tarts
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Also
God.
trans rights.
Hey, so speaking of Xandra, we have a $5 donation from Xandra. Question: why did Samus get no laughs when she did her stand-up comedy routine in the Gauntlet? Answer: it was a tough room. This may have been meant to be read a little bit ago, but hey. Keep up the good work, everyone, and thanks for the wonderful weekend. Hey, don't be discounting yourself in that one, Xandra. You're a part of this event, and you've done a lot for it. Just as much. You've done just as much for this event as the rest of us. And we have a $50 donation from Uyama. Always like donating to a good cause. Thank you. This is a good cause. And hey, that bid war, by the way, we have one bid war left, and it's going to close very, very soon. The only thing we got left is the good versus evil sprites. Evil is in the lead by $46. Now, if you want to show that evil doesn't triumph, you should donate to the Trevor Project. And let me tell you about that. It's a good cause, and I've been playing the evil side, but I'll